so great. Ken? Okay, this is another question from the audience. It's primarily for Chris, but I also want Ruth's input on this as well. What do you plan on doing about the slumlord buildings and empty business buildings downtown?
So again, housing is a huge issue. So what we did was we worked hand in hand with our city council. We updated our property maintenance code so we have a way to hold individuals to higher standards. We also put in place the hearing authority. Back in the 1980s, actually, our city council passed the unsafe building law in the state of Indiana, which gave administrations like my administration the ability to put forth a hearing authority. It's an open public process that if we have landlords or owner-occupied individuals that aren't abiding by the law, they have to come before the Board of Works and myself and state a case on why this is. And if their case doesn't match up with what we're expecting, we can either levy fines up to $5,000 or, I hate to do this, demolish that property because it is so unsafe. We're putting a stake in the ground. The people that are living here, they need a great quality of life. We're raising our expectations. This is an open, accountable, transparent process and something that I'm thinking about each and every single day.
All right, Ruth.
I feel sorry for some of these slumlords because they get tenants in there that tear everything all to pieces. And then they got to fix it and refix it. I think the tenants ought to also be held responsible for the damage they do to these houses.
Okay. Ken? Recently, we've had a lot of interference from...
That's all right. I think that's all right. We'll let Sherry go twice.
I don't want to call those media wars. Recently, we've had a lot of interference from the state, specifically Senate Bill 309, kind of hindering our ability for infrastructure on I-65. What are both of your guys' thoughts on the state's interference with everything that's been going on here in Frankfort for the last 3 or 4 months?
Okay, Ruth?
I don't think the state should have the right to tell us what we can do.
All right. Aaron?
I'm a big believer in limited government. I'm a conservative at heart. That's how my parents and my grandparents raised me. It's been incredibly frustrating to me over the past 4 years. The state has put more restrictions around cities. They should be putting into place legislation that empowers us to grow, that does not restrict our growth. And that's why I've been such a vocal advocate by testifying against Senate Bill 309. I have a wonderful working relationship with our state legislators and our governor, so I have the ability to go down to the State House and truly let Frankfort's voice be heard. And even on a federal level, I've developed very good relationships with our congressmen and senators. Because again, our voice needs to be heard in Frankfort, and I'm very proud to do that.
Okay, sure.
Okay, one of the big issues in economic development these days is the creation of TIF districts, the allowance of abatements and so forth. The Times just this week published an article by, or recently published an article by Warren Marcus, and he talks about the fact that many times these TIF districts and so forth will aid a specific business at the expense of the many. So in other words, these are dollars that are taken away from school systems or dollars that are taken away from libraries and so forth. They depend on those dollars to support their services. Others justify those abatements as vital to economic development. So where do you stand on the issue, and how do you ensure that the ends justify the means?
Mayor?
Well, I'm all for incentives, but you got to do it responsibly, much like Sharon was saying. In some cases, such as Conagra Foods, without offering a cutting-edge incentive like tax increment financing, which wasn't available until my administration stepped into office in 2012, I don't believe those jobs would be created. Now we've created 225 additional jobs, good paying jobs with good benefits, families that can move to Frankfort and be dedicated to our community and give back to our community. But tax increment financing isn't the case for all industries. You got to sit down, you got to get to know the plan manager, what the site selector is looking for. And if the jobs are maybe a little lower pay rate per hour, maybe you offer a tax abatement. But by creating good relationships with our finance committee and the Chamber of Commerce, we put all of our heads around the table and we make responsible incentive offers to these potential companies that are coming to the city of Frankfort.
didn't say in on any of this, so therefore I'm not authority to answer this one.
Okay. Sharon?
I can't
Okay.
advise, though.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you. Go ahead, what did you say?
I will study it though.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sharon, why don't you go again?
Okay.
Things up.
Just keep on rolling. Okay, one of the questions that was submitted was, do you have a particular place where voters can go to find, and I'm assuming they didn't specify, but I'm assuming they mean a website, Facebook page or something that outlines your specific plans for Frankfort? And that's a question for both of you.
Ruth?
No.
All right, Chris.
Well, people can come talk to me anytime. There's a reason that my fiance does not take me grocery shopping anymore, because it takes 4 hours to get through the market. But if you see me on the street, come up and talk to me. You can go to McBarnes.com and you can read my entire platform. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm a big believer in the 4 cornerstones of our administration and the 100 and 200-day plans that we package together. I want to remain incredibly accountable and transparent to you. Our Mayor's Afternoon Out events, our Mayor's Night Out events are a great way to come out and get involved and not only get to know me, but the department heads that I have the honor to serve with. So we want to be transparent and accountable. And again, one of those big cornerstones of communications. And my 4 cornerstones are going to metamorphosize into quality of place and quality of life in our community, truly adding dynamics of culture that when you're living in Frankfort, you not only feel safe, but you have things to do for those young and for those young at heart.
Thank you.
I'd like to follow up. Thelma, you say that you don't have any place, but do you have something written, or have you enumerated what your goals are for Frankfort if you were elected mayor?
Yes, but those are all. Any place to eliminate foolish spending and to do the best job that I can for the most people that I can.
Okay, Ken?
This is also a submitted question. I'm going to kind of piggyback something I have with it as well. The one thing the audience is, this will be for both of you. Do you have any plans on the fight against drugs in Frankfort? And how would you characterize the drug situation here in Frankfort?
Ruth?
I think the drug situation is pretty pitiful here in Frankfort. There's a lot of drugs here in this town.
Okay. Chris?
Drugs are a problem here, but they're also a problem in Carmel, they're a problem in Westfield, and they're a problem in Noblesville. Being right between Chicago and Indianapolis, right off of the Interstate I-65, yes, we have a lot of drug trade in the city of Frankfort. I am so proud of the Frankfort Police Department. I am so proud of Chief Troy Bacon. They've stepped up to the plate. Actually, in the next 3 weeks, we're going to be swearing in our second ever canine unit into the city of Frankfort. So we are actually going to have a narcotics-trained dog on the streets. And when you want to talk about where our administration has truly spent money the past 4 years, it hasn't been on consultants. It's been spent in public safety, giving our police officers the tools they need, our firefighters the tools they need to go out and not only do their jobs properly, effectively, but most importantly, safely.
Sharon?
And we also have a boxing kangaroo now, too, right?
Rudy, come on, meet Rudy. Carmel doesn't have a Rudy.
Okay, stop kicking things around. Sharon, continue.
Okay, we talked a lot about housing. We talked about people who say, you know, it's the chicken and the egg thing. There are people who say we have to have good housing, we have to have amenities in order to attract people to our community. On the other hand, people say that we've got to have people in a tax base to be able to fund these things. Where does the balance lie?
Yeah, I think there's got to be a balance, and that's why we're tackling both things head on with economic development and neighborhood revitalization. They're both vitally important. We've created new jobs over the past 4 years, but we've raised our standards in terms of housing. I know that as a young professional that's getting ready to get married, Samantha and I want to be in a community that's safe, that has a good ambiance, that we can get out and it's walkable. That's why I believe our complete streets ordinance is very, very important, creating thoroughfares that you can get out and not only drive safely on, but you can bike safely on, you can jog safely on, you can put your kid up a stroller on. So all of these things tie into housing, and that's why we've been so very diligent in terms of our hearing authority, and also now with our new historical guidelines as well, really looking at the South District and the Christian Ridge District and our downtown historic district to raise the standards and truly hold that ambiance of the beautiful Victorian homes that we have here in the city.
All right, Ruth?
Did I hear him say that people are safe here in Frankfort? Women and girls are not safe in Frankfort, Indiana.
May I rebut that, please?
Sure.
Our crime levels have actually trended down over the past 10 years. And that's been much in place due to the work by the Frankfort Police Department. And I encourage each and every single one of you, you are our eyes and ears out there. So our Chief of Police holds many police community meetings and neighborhood connection meetings. If you're seeing something in your neighborhood, if you don't feel safe, we need to know about it so then we can put a resource in place to remedy that fear. Please work with us on that.
Okay.
This is for both of you. Are there any project or projects that you would like to see done almost immediately?
Chris?
Sure, I think about our downtown. I think about the vacant spaces in our downtown, and I don't see challenges, I see opportunities. I see a blank canvas that we can strategically invest in to create beautiful pocket parks in our downtown. Perhaps a place for a farmer's market, and then creating a trail network throughout the city of Frankfort that connects the Frankfort Lagoons with our downtown to our new affordable senior living facility. It's going to be called Wesley Manor Southside, and then perhaps eventually out to the east side retention ponds. Now, this all has to be done in balance. I get it. Paving streets, making sure our employees have good benefits and good wages, these things have to be done in balance and with strategic spending. But it's okay to dream. It's okay to hope. And I have big dreams for our city.
Ruth?
I would like to see more businesses in the downtown area. I can bring whatever store around there and have business in it.
Yes? You're the moderator.
What type of businesses would you specifically like to see, since you want businesses down there? What types would you like to see?
Oh, a shoe store, clothing store. At one point, we had 3 shoe stores in Frankfort. We had a Diane shop, we had Spalding's, we had a dime store.
Okay. Sharon?
One state group that we've been able to work with and that does have, obviously fits our niche is Okra. And what potential do you think the city has to tap into Okra funding and especially its community development block grants?
Ruth?
I don't know a thing about Okra. I'll have to study on
Okay. Chris?
So OPRA stands for the Office of Community and Rural Affairs. It's directly governed by our Lieutenant Governor. I actually just had the director of OPRA in my office this past week, Bill Connie, and we had a fantastic discussion. Bill's incredibly excited about what's happening in our community. Although we didn't finish first, I'm very proud of the city of Frankfort that we were in the top 6 for the Stellar Communities program in the state of Indiana back in the year 2013. And I have plans actually by the end of this week to be submitting a letter of intent to OPRA to obtain $50,000 in those CDBG funds to carry out a downtown revitalization plan so that we can get our facades in line, our streetscapes in line, and truly, as my opponent put it well, attract more retail to our downtown, which I know is so vitally important to you. It's important to Frankfort Main Street. It's important to myself as mayor.
Okay. Ken, is it Ken or Sharon? By the way, Sharon is up by 1 now, so.
Okay, Ruth, this is a question specifically for you. You seem to keep avoiding all questions asked tonight. You're right, drug use is pitiful. Please tell us specifically how you'll combat drugs in Frankfort.
I wouldn't be the one combating drugs, it would be the police department. But I think we should have stiffer penalties for those that are caught with drugs.
Okay. Ken?
This is a question from the audience, and this will be for both of you. What, if any, solutions can you see to improve the quality of living for people who live near these stockyards, as the talking about the hog smells that are out there.
That's something we have addressed, so if you're out living by a stockyard and you are experiencing that smell, please call my office. I'll put you in touch with our building inspector, and we'll come down and take a look at that. Per our ordinances, there are certain standards the stockyards around the city have to abide by to cut down those smells, and if people are infringing on those ordinances, we have no problem going down and enforcing the law in our city.
Ruth?
I didn't know we had a stockyard in Frankfort, Indiana. Where's it at?
I believe one is out on Washington Avenue. Am I correct, audience?
Yes.
Okay, Sharon? No, yeah, Sharon. Yeah, you got me confused.
Okay. One thing that Frankfort is blessed to have are hundreds of committed individuals who, give of their time, give of their wisdom and so forth to keep this community going and to help it develop. One thing, however, is that many of those individuals, like myself, are older. And some worry that we're not cultivating young leaders and we're not doing enough to get young leaders to come back into our community. So, number one, do you even see this as a problem? And if you do, how will you address it?
Ruth?
I don't understand that question.
Do you think that Frankfort is doing enough to cultivate young leaders? And if it is, then that's the answer. But if it isn't, how do we do that? How would you do that specifically?
I think they're doing it to cultivate young leaders.
So per my 200-day plan, we've actually put a mayor's youth advisory council into place. I think it's incredibly important that we empower our youth and not only make them a part of the process, but empower them to change the process. Because they are our future. If we don't do a better job of plugging them in, of making them feel a part of Frankfort, empowering them to make a difference, then why would they want to come back here? So actually, just yesterday, we had our fourth Mayor's Youth Council event, and I'm actually going to be bringing the Robert Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership in and teaching these young people servant leadership skills. We're actually going to be making a trip down to Indiana University this coming Monday. We're going to be talking with a professor that heads up their civic public policy courses at Indiana University. So we're going to plug them in this way, and then I actually have grand plans to bring them before the council and have their vision be incorporated into our 2035 comprehensive plan for the city of Frankfort.
Ken?
This question is for both of you. What are your thoughts on the redevelopment commission? Is it doing what you think it should? And particularly, do you both plan on having it around again when the next term comes around?
Mr. Mayor. Ken?
So we put in place the redevelopment commission when I came into office back in the year 2012, and that was a component of our comprehensive economic development strategy that we put in place for the city of Frankfort. The RDC is able to offer cutting-edge incentives that our community has never truly been able to offer before. And I'm proud to say that Clinton County, after we put this into place, looked at their system and said, we need a redevelopment commission. So I was very happy to see that they're moving forward with the process. Our RDC has helped us attract things such as Conagra Foods. They've also purchased key buildings in our downtown and key lots in our downtown. They're going to help us increase the quality of life in Frankfort. This was a modern day tool that our community most desperately needed, and now it's in place and we're seeing good things from it.
Ruth?
I don't have anything to say on that. I'll have to study on it.
Hey, Sharon?
Okay, one thing that's happened under Mayor McBarnes Administration has been the reorganization of city departments. And we now have a full-time park superintendent as well as a full-time street superintendent. So this is a question for Thelma. How would you go about organizing the city departments? Do you think that there are efficiencies that can be gained?
I would surround myself with the best men possible for the jobs. And I think we've got some pretty good men in there right now.
Any women? Would you include any women in your administration?
Well, why not?
so incredibly proud of my department heads. They have our city departments running more effectively and more efficiently than they ever have before, and I tip my cap to them. The streets department and the parks department, that was one big initiative of mine when I came into office, working with the city council to break up those two positions. We have 6 city parks, and we have 85 miles of roadway in Frankfort. It's a little bit too big of a job for one person to do. So now I'm proud to say George Belmore is going to be concentrating on the parks this year, expanding our capabilities of our petting zoo and quality of life dynamics within our city parks. And Jason Forsyth, newly announced this past week, is going to do an amazing job helping grow our infrastructure, make it more sturdy, fill those potholes, and work with the state of Indiana on State Road 28. Jason, you have a big job before you, but we believe in you.
Thank you. This is another question from the audience. It's primarily directed for the mayor, but I'm directed for both of you. There's some homeless people here in town, and what do you plan on doing with that situation? Are you going to try to give them a shelter, or what do you plan to do?
Good question. So actually, we've been working with a young lady in our community that's actually looking at opening up a not-for-profit drug rehab facility specifically for women in our community, and people like Carol Price and St. Matthew Church is helping bring this process together, so I really hope to see a lot of great strides when it comes to this. But in terms of individuals that are homeless now, I look to a great community leader, and that's Steve Teagarden at our Salvation Army. He has an amazing halfway house there beside Salvation Army across from our police department, and I would reach out to Steve. I would get his thoughts, I would see what the availability was. If Steve couldn't work it out, I would go to our Clinton County Ministerial Association, and I would find those individuals a warm and safe place to go for the night.
Ruth?
We definitely need more houses like what the Salvation Army has for the homeless.
Okay. We're getting near the end, so we're going to have, I'll give you the 2-question warning, so we've got 2 more questions. Can we do that?
All right. One of the questions that's been asked from the audience is, we have talked about how do we go about cultivating youth and cultivating youth leadership. One of the questions has been, what should we do about older Frankfort residents? How can we help them?
I would take your answer on that. We need to do a lot about the older residents.
What specific issues do you think they face, and how would you address those?
A lot of the older people don't have enough money to eat properly. We need more food pantries for them, more food, more a free clinic. I haven't heard too many old people say what they need, but those are the 2 things that I have heard they need: food and medicine.
Fair?
I agree with my opponent. Maybe we can talk to ConAgra Foods, and maybe the first big semi-load full of food they bring to our city, maybe it can be donated to the Salvation Army to help individuals that are in need in our community. But one huge thing that our administration found to be very important, and we were delighted to be at the table during this decision, was to work with Wesley Manor to create Wesley Manor Southside. This will be a 50-unit affordable senior living facility adjacent to Clinton County Fairgrounds, where I used to go to school at Southside Elementary School. Some of our baby boomers that are hardworking middle-class individuals, they might not be able to afford to go to Wesley Manor or a higher income facility, but now we'll have an affordable, independent senior living facility right here in Frankfort they can be proud of, and we can keep them here in Frankfort, Clinton County, because I'm sure they'd like to spend that much more time with their grandkids here in the community.
This is a question from the audience, but I also want to piggyback one off. This is for both of you. They think that the question is basically they need to go over the Disability Act because there's a lot of businesses that are not accessible to the handicap. What's your thoughts on that, and how are you going to take care of that?
Fair?
So our building inspector, Sam Payne, is actually our ADA inspector, and we've actually put into place an American Disabilities Act transition plan for our community. Now, this is going to take a lot of time to implement, but what I would encourage you to do as citizens, if you are specifically facing a business that's not allowing you to enter that facility because of your physical challenge, please call our office. We have no problem sending our building inspection team down to take a look at that facility, to work with that business owner to make it more conducive for your needs. And when we renovate Old Stony in the next year and a half, you can bet your bottom dollar that we're going to be keeping that EDA compliance in mind. So that when you come to our city council meetings or our board of works meetings, that our city hall and all city departments will be accessible for all individuals.
I had a lady talking today that said that there was a lot of places in town she couldn't go because she couldn't get her wheelchair, her motor vehicle up on the sidewalks or in the businesses. And yes, I think it ought to be wherever building that has a restroom should have a place for handicapped people to go. And I think we need more ramps where they can get up and down on the sidewalk instead of riding on the street.
Tell you what, let's go ahead and get one more in, and then we'll have closing remarks.
Okay. I don't think anyone could lead our city without taking into consideration that we have a very large Hispanic Latino population. And that presents challenges for our city when 25% of our population, many of whom even have difficulties with the English language. So what challenges do you think that presents for the city, and how will you address those challenges specifically?
Ruth?
I think there's only one race. It's a human race, and you either belong or you don't. And we ought to do whatever we can to get them to learn English.
Okay, Chris?
I think our community must embrace diversity. As an individual that studied anthropology, I understand that different cultures bring a wealth of wisdom and work ethic and family culture to the table, and we must tap into that. And that's why our administration, we've sponsored numerous Latino community meetings, simply to get that demographic of our community to understand that we're here to work for them as well. And if they have any questions about how local government works, we're here to answer those questions, and we're here to help them understand the standards that we have in our community. I also think we must lean on the gatekeepers of this community, such as Belinda Grismer and the Extension Office, doing wonderful work with our Latino population.
All right, thank you. Okay, we're down to our closing remarks. Ruth, you have 3 minutes to finish up this evening. And then, Ken, do you have just a pressing, burning one? Okay. And then, Mayor, we'll have the same, maybe closing this evening, the same 3 minutes. So, well, it'll be a different 3 minutes, but it'll be 3 minutes. We got my common sense, my dad was telling me that. All right, Ruth?
For the last 16 years, I have worked tirelessly doing something in the community at all times. Whether it's coats for kids, books for kids, packages for our troops, or whatever. But I want to tell you a little story. I was down in Lebanon the other day, and there's this gentleman sitting in a wheelchair. Called me over and asked me if I was a registered voter. And I told him yes, I was, and I planned on running for mayor in Frankfort, Indiana. And the old gentleman, I don't know, U.S. Army hat. And he sat there and talked to me, and he said, anybody that can vote and don't, it's a slap in the face for every soldier that died for their rights. So whether you vote for me or Grace, get out there and vote.
All right, thank you. Ruth, appreciate it. Mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a big round of applause for Thelma and Ruth Dommestrup? Anybody that has the courage to put their name on the ballot, give them a hug, because it takes a lot. And so I thank her for stepping up to the plate in our community. Ruth, your philanthropic efforts in our community, I look up to you, and I respect Ruth as my elder, no doubt about that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor, the biggest privilege of my life over the past 4 years to serve you as mayor. I've learned so much about myself. I've gotten to work with an amazing group of people. I've tried to surround myself with the best of the best, and I believe that I have. And I am humbled at the opportunity to serve you another 4 years. I believe we've just scratched the surface of potential in our community. And I'm going to dedicate my life to you. Now, first and foremost to God and my soon-to-be wife, Skanta. But right there behind them, it's going to be you, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I want to get back to my hometown. I got to meet somebody this past Saturday and put it all in perspective for me. Richard, wave your hand for a second. Everyone, this is Richard LeMay. Richard LeMay is a young man in our community that felt separated from our community. The first time he went through high school, it didn't work out for him. He dropped out and he just thought, what am I going to do? But then he saw ID Tech Community College come along. He went back, he got his GED, now he's enrolled in ID Tech. He has a 2-year-old at home, and he's working third shift, so he has to go to work tonight at 11 p.m. to provide for that little one. Richard, we are so proud of you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it's all about. Now Richard says he wants to plug himself into the community. He's saying, Mayor, how can you get me involved? I wake up for each and every single one of you every day. I also wake up for people like Richard. Richard, I want you to know that you inspire me. And ladies and gentlemen, this isn't just about a mayor moving our community forward. This is about we as a community moving ourselves forward. So I want you to look at this young man tonight. I want you to get to know him. And I want you to see how we, you and I, have helped create an opportunity that's truly going to change his life forever. That's what the city of Frankfort is capable of. In the next 4 years, we're going to keep fighting to take our community down the road. It's been an honor. Thank you.
First of all, tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, will be right here. It'll be the City Council Forum at 7 o'clock. It will be a 90-minute forum because we have 3 candidates. Those candidates will be here tomorrow evening, so we invite you back here, Skanta Theater at 7 o'clock. Also, I think it's fitting to recognize and realize that 150 years ago tonight, Abraham Lincoln passed away, and what a tremendous leader, tremendous president. And that's why the flags were folded half-mast today by order of the governor of the state of Indiana, recognizing Abraham Lincoln. And finally, Pacers win. They're in tonight. Root for the Pacers.